in where your income is going to match and outpace what expenses you have uh, in order to be able to grow and be able to have a profitable business. Now, there's very, very specific structures that go into having a profitable business. The structure is so important. Um, if I asked you about your business, what you made last year, most of you could probably answer how much money you brought in. Some of you might not be able to answer, and there's no shame in that game. But if I asked you how much money your business kept last year, far fewer people would be able to say exactly how much money they were able to keep from their business. And sometimes that comes from a place of not having clear enough defined lines, not being diligent enough to divide personal and business expenses. I am chief sinner among most when it comes to that, because one of the things that I actually teach people how to do is to live your life as closely to your business as possible so that there's duality in your expenses. So your business can actually legally pay for your lifestyle and your personal life while keeping in compliance with IRS code. But that takes a large amount of diligence, a large amount of control, and a large amount of discipline in order to be able to do that and do it effectively. Um, I accidentally muted myself. My apologies. So, one of the things that I like to ask people is if you know where your money leaks are right now. And what my experience has been is most people start guessing, right? Because they're not keeping track of their expenses, their income on a daily basis or a weekly basis or even a monthly basis. Some people don't even do it on a quarterly basis, barely do it on an annual basis. I have seen so many entrepreneurs operate their business. If they have enough money in the bank account, then to keep going to pay for whatever expenses are directly in front of them, then they're good. That is below paycheck to paycheck. That is literally living hand to mouth, right? And as entrepreneurs, we need to be better than that. We should be better than that. The answer isn't, hustle harder, sell more, scale faster, because when you do those things, when you hustle harder, when you sell more, and when you scale faster without the proper structure in place, it will all fall apart. Most of us have never been taught how money actually flows, how taxes silently erode our wealth, and how cash dies inside of a profitable business. So, most entrepreneurs don't fail because they're bad at business. They fail because they never learn how money actually behaves. Leads me into a great segue for my story of learning how money actually flows. I was blessed at a very young age to witness a spectacular failure. My father was a self-made man. He was a not college educated by any means, but he worked for 30 years in his industry to become one of the top plastic extrusion engineers in the automotive industry around the world. He was sought after by Ford, GM, Honda, Hyundai. This was pre-Tesla, so if he was still in the game when Tesla came out, Tesla would have been after him too. But my father was entrepreneurial. So he always was making something with his hands. He was always doing something on the side. He was uh, always searching for ways to improve things. He was by true definition, he was a Six Sigma. Those of you in the corporate industry will know what that means. I mean, the man was the very definition of a black belt. I love that we've started sharing a screen. I don't know whose screen we're sharing, but let's
It's
let's
not mine.
let's not mine either. So let's get after it, man. I love that beautiful tree background. So, fabulous. Um, yeah,
Wow.
those of you that know Sigma know and understand how process improvement works. My father was not educated, so he was not worldly when it came to that definition, but he embodied it, body and soul. And he even went on to create patents and things for the companies that he worked for. But because he was an employee when he created them, he had to sign over the patent to the company, and he never saw a dime from it. So companies like Aeroquip and Han Elastomers and Ford and GM profit still to this day from my father's inventions, but he will never see anything from it, for the rest of his life. And so he finally got sick of that, having to work harder than everyone else, prove himself on a constant basis. And, he did get to a point where he was so incredibly sought after, but he still got passed over for people that had degrees and no experience. And it was very, very disheartening to watch. Um, but he ended up going out on his own, creating his own manufacturing company, and we thought we had made it, man. Like, we lasted 6 years in business. We were doing $7-8 million a year in annual revenue. We had, employees running 24/7, 365 on 4 different shifts. Like, we were doing it. I remember as a kid growing up, and my father, one of the employees would call out, so we would all have to hightail it to the shop, and me and my sister would sleep on sleeping bags underneath the desks in the office while my mom and my dad ran the machines in the shop, right? So, like, this was our family business. This was our chance to change our stripes and change our entire trajectory for the future. And then the IRS put a lien on everything my father owned. They cut off his line of credit from the bank, which he used to buy material to make parts. And a lot of the auto manufacturers have 90 to 180-day payment terms. So there was no possible way for us to dig out of this ditch. It's so bombed our company overnight that my father ended up with mild heart attack and mini strokes, ended up in the hospital from all the stress. Um, we thought we were going to lose our home. I was 16 at the time. I was just a baby. I was still living at home. Um, and spectacularly, we went down in flames because nobody filed or paid our payroll taxes or our annual taxes for the business. And my parents knew that they had to do those things, but they trusted someone to do them. And then when they didn't do them, we had to literally go chase them down to be able to get our information back, to be able to get it to somebody else. And then there wasn't anybody in the industry in accounting or tax or legal or anything that was able to help my father navigate the situation and stay in business. So literally the IRS shut us down overnight. My father had to sell his equipment to one of his customers and go to work for them running his business until he paid the IRS off and then got out and became a consultant. Fortunately, my father's okay. Everything worked out. But that was the experience that led me on to becoming a tax wizard and fractional CFO, because I wanted to make sure that what happened to my father, as long as it was within my power, and what happened to my father would never happen to anyone else. And I have thankfully been very successful at that to date. We during the pandemic, we were featured on 6 ABC News for Philly Proud because we saved over 2,000 jobs in the tri-state area. We kept employers open and employees paid during the pandemic. We still to this day with our tax credit work and things, we're helping people get back money from the government to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars that they've paid in and for the work that they've done in their businesses and that they've done by developing systems and technology and things like that. So I have a very near and dear pain to my heart to help businesses succeed in any capacity that I'm able. I've been very blessed to be able to go on and become a 7-time international best-selling author, working on my second Guinness Book of World Record, um, and now an international speaker traveling to Ireland, Greece, Portugal, Costa Rica, um, all over the world, speaking and all over the country, um, and still a loving father to 3 amazing children, um, and ready to come out here and capture it all. Yes, you will see me in Greece.
I'll be there too.
All right, let's get it, man. Let's get it. You have no idea what you're in for. This is my second time to Greece speaking, and I'm so excited to see so many of the friends that I've kept in touch with while we were there. Um, Now, moving right along into from my story into what the invisible leaks are in your business and things that if my father knew or someone was able to coach him through would have literally transformed and saved his business overnight and it had a completely different trajectory for my life and my family's life for generations to come. But now I get to be that change. So picking up the mantle where my father left off, and that's a blessing. We out here breaking curses and claiming blessings, man. I tell you what. Number one is tax strategy or the absence thereof. Tax strategy is the core tenant when it comes to how to structure your life and your business. Most business owners don't have a tax strategy. They have compliance. They file their taxes every year on March 15th or April 15th, or if they're not prepared, they file an extension, what have you. They're really only focused on compliance. Most business owners don't even know that they need to file an annual report or that they have to pay an annual fee to the state to keep their business in compliance and operation. Otherwise, it will get dissolved. Most business owners don't know maybe that they have to file local taxes depending on where they do business. Or if they do, that there are ways to structure and organize your business to avoid having to pay those additional taxes, specifically like Philadelphia with the business income revenue tax or the net profit tax. Those are things that sink companies on an annual basis, and the city just siphons money from the companies that do business there. And there's cities like that all over the country. When it comes to compliance versus strategy, basically compliance is your CPA splitting the bill with the IRS and you get none of the benefit. When it comes to strategy, that is you and your CPA standing arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, back to back, and literally putting a hedge of protection around you, your family, and your business so that you're only paying literally what you have to. In my book, The IRS's Dirty Little Secrets, I specifically talk about the fact that the IRS tax code was written for your benefit. It was written to benefit you. If you don't take advantage of it, if you don't leverage the laws that are available to you, who do you have to blame? No one but yourself. It's your responsibility. We're a nation of personal responsibility. You know, I can come and try to teach you all I can. I can try to get the word out, but at the end of the day, everyone's responsible for themselves. If you don't think you need tax strategy, God help you, because I can't. Um, when it comes to strategy, when is When is strategy supposed to be done? Not in December. That is the wrong time to start talking about strategy. Now, January. Now is the best time to start talking about strategy when it comes to 2026 and beyond. December is far too late. Please don't wait. Um, Strategies plan for outcomes. That is the last core tenant to tax strategy, or the absence thereof, is strategists plan on outcomes, right? So having a strategy and not implementing it is no good. We always hear the old adage that knowledge is power. You can have all the knowledge in the world about tax strategy or taxes or the IRS tax code, or you can have the best accountant in the world. But if you don't implement any of the strategies, what's the point? There's no reason, right? Strategists plan for outcomes. I like to shift that whole knowledge is power thing to, I think that's a bad adage, honestly, because applied knowledge is power. Knowledge by itself isn't powerful. What you do with it is powerful, right? The impact that our knowledge has. That's one of the reasons why my good friend Emilio Roman says everyone has at least one book in them, because we all have knowledge and personal experience. We all have, various things that we've gone through in life, and being able to share that story, share that knowledge, that's action, right? That could help someone else, right? So applied knowledge is power. Leak number 2, no cash command system. Now, let's explain the difference between bank balance and profit. Because you can have profit showing on your business when it comes tax time that you'll have to pay taxes on, but still have zero money in the bank. That is a problem. Uh, you can also, there's a term called cash velocity, which is the speed at which money hits or comes in and out, right? The flow of money. Timing mismatches. This is why cash flow management is the lifeblood of business, right? So cash flow problems aren't income problems. They're timing and structure problems, right? There's one thing that I got very good at, especially in college, that has helped me because I witnessed a lot of entrepreneurs live this way. And it's that old saying, you rob Peter to pay Paul. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you use it to your benefit to create wealth and abundance. If you use robbing Peter to pay Paul so that you can get to a point where Peter's got his money, Paul's got his money, and never the twain shall meet. Everything is a stepping stone in a process, right? Because we need to build, we need to create structure, we need to put cash command systems into place, right? Where we tell our money where it goes, not our money telling us when it's coming and where it's going. You need to be in control of your money, not your money in control of you. Uh, if you can put a system into place where you can gain control over your cash flow and do it purposeful, right? Like I tell everybody, since I guess since the Christmas mastermind, I have been on the kick about living life on purpose, being intentional with our decisions. Um, you have to be intentional with your cash flow. Your bank balance will never grow on accident. I mean, I suppose that there have been times where we have, looked at our bank account. We've been surprised about how much money's in there. Or I think on by far and large, most of us have been the victim of how little money is in there and surprised about that. But there are times when unexpected things happen. Those are not the times to go out and spend more. When you get an unexpected windfall, still treat it like it doesn't exist. Because then when you need it, you'll have something. I can't tell you how many people have told me, I don't have any money to save. I can't save money. Um, and that's because every dollar that comes in, they spend immediately as it comes in. When it comes to putting structure in place, you have to do three main things. One, put barriers around your money on outflows. Number two, stop restricting inflows. And number three, make conscious decisions about who you're paying and when, and be honest and have the integrity to communicate to people and places and things and companies when you can't pay them and when you expect to be able to pay them. It's very uncomfortable conversations to have, but I promise you, if you do those three things, your entire, in 6 months, maybe 1 month, in 6 months, your entire life will change. Now, before I run out of time, I want to move on to leak number three, our last leak for today, and that is owner compensation chaos. Thanks, V. The biggest problems I see is that there's no intentional pay structure for most companies and entrepreneurs. Two, there's no separation between operator and owner. And three, there's no long-term extraction plan when it comes to how to take money out of the business, or if the business owner ever wants to leave the business or remove themselves from the day-to-day operations. If your business can't pay you predictably, you don't own a business, you own a very stressful job. And if you're in those building phases where maybe the business isn't doing enough yet to predictably pay you, um, the most common trap to fall into is building yourself a job and not a business. Right. So the more you can be intentional about how you're building your business, how you're structuring things, and about the systems and processes you put in place determines whether you end up, once you do start gaining predictable income, that whether or not you've just built yourself a very stressful job or you've built something that can go the distance and outlive you, because all of us should be focused on legacy, right? I want better for all of you than to have a stressful job. You know, we got into entrepreneurship for life, for choices, for options, for success. Let's keep that the focus. Now, let's shift thinking, right? The most successful entrepreneurs don't ask, how much can I make? They ask, how much do I get to keep? How much do I get to control? And how can I compound? This is the philosophy that you need to maintain. I heard Myron Golden say, things aren't expensive. Nothing's expensive because things only become expensive when we think we can't afford them. When we think we can't afford them, we're not going to find a way to be able to afford them because we think they're beyond us. We're not worth it. It's not worth it. Whatever. That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Anything you want in life, you can find a way to afford, right? It's about priorities. And if it is not something you're willing to find a way to afford, it's not something you should be doing, right? Keep, control, compound. Those are the three main things you need to focus on when it comes to a mindset shift in entrepreneurship. Instead of how much can I make? How much do I make? How much will I make? How much do I get to keep? How much do I get to control? And then how do I compound it to make more in perpetuity to build that legacy? If you walk away with one thing today, I want it to be this: visibility creates power, power creates peace. I built Rood Financial for entrepreneurs who are done guessing, who want to be free, who want to keep what they've built and want to build that legacy for their families because my family was robbed of our legacy by someone in my position. So I will be damned if I ever let what should be the greatest gift and the greatest ability to help someone keep their legacy. I will be damned if I let it rob them and their family and future generations of a legacy. I will be the cause of continued legacy. I will not be the detractor of it. So I thank you guys very much. I'm probably out of time or very close to it. I have a very special gift for everyone. I am doing a entrepreneur's financial leak audit. It's not a real audit. I just use the word audit. What that includes is a diagnostic process. It identifies tax inefficiency, cash flow blind spots, and owner pay issues. And then we give you a nice little certificate and score sheet based on where you're at in each category. Um, this isn't a pitch. It's not a, hey, you should come work with us. It is a mirror for you to see where you're at, right? Because visibility creates power, power creates peace. And when you have peace, you can create legacy. So I thank you all very much. Am I out of time, V?
Nah, you're good.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, thank you very much. That was really insightful, especially for me, because I'm a new entrepreneur, right? And so you know that the first year, the expenses are huge, right? We're talking Zoom, travel, and other office expenses,
All kinds of stuff.
conference expenses, everything. And
Yeah.
the revenue is not coming in as quickly. And so, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think, and look, I became an entrepreneur in my 60s, right? And so, as a kid, you think about being an entrepreneur and you're like, oh, that's cool. I get to work for myself. But you don't realize what the first few years, it's not just the first year, right? It could be the
No,
first 5 years. You're a
it
startup.
yeah,
What
could
does
it
that
could
look like? And so how do you manage that? Like I was lucky enough that I worked in finance prior to becoming a coach, so I relied on my retirement fund. Not everyone has that. I no longer have that. So
so
now I'm
this
in a
is
place where I am spending money to get the visibility, right? So that people can invite me to events so that I can get more clients. And, but right now, there is nothing. But I know in my heart that people need what I have to offer because like you're speaking from lived experience. See, you have the experience, right? You have the
yep,
certifications and the licenses and all that, but your heart is from lived experience. So I know that you are protected and that I'm protected.
yep.
So how does someone like me, right, manage that startup period? Because it's not pretty.
It's not. It's no, it is so ugly. It is brutal. It is
It is.
brutal.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah.
V, so what my best advice is and what I've seen work over and over again is don't quit
Mm, I agree.
because that's where my father screwed up amongst other places is he quit and went into consulting and he said I'll never do that crap again. Um,
Mm,
I've seen I've seen small entrepreneurs like I had a client who was for three years, Zareta, he did 25 to $30,000 a year in revenue as a marketing company. for 3 years. He was like, Pat, I gotta throw in the towel, man. Like this just ain't this is just not it, man. I said, Sam, you you have paid your dues. Now go out and get it.
Get it.
And the next year, he did 400,000. The year after that, he did
Hmm.
1.2 million.
Yeah.
So the real honest answer is
Be
decide
patient.
what well, be patient, be patient. Decide what your lane is and double down on that until it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So there's the practical steps are guerrilla marketing. Be like if you're if you're not the best apostle evangelist for what you do, no one else will be either,
Hmm.
right? You have to be willing to live and die by the sword. You've got to be willing to go out there and literally knock doors if that's what it takes,
Yeah.
right? Find your target people, single them out, like the people you should, like if you want to do corporate events or corporate sales for grief training or whatever, right? Um, Target the people that are responsible for those systems or start calling the company you want to work with. Just one company will do you,
Yeah.
right? If you get just one contract with a large, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, whatever company, and you get that contract, you're set for, until you find a new one,
Yeah.
right? And then that's just growth.
Hmm.
Pick one, attack it wholeheartedly, right? Send full force until they say yes. Persistency always wins.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Persistency
very
and
much.
consistency.